Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Karen.
And welcome to Scary Spirits Podcast Presents Reviews,
Woo woo.
where we review a film which should still be in theaters when this episode comes out.
I think we got a good shot with this one.
Do you?
From what you've told me, yes.
Well, you saw it.
I did.
All right. So, how are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
It's what we do.
Karen, what film are we reviewing this episode?
We're reviewing the 2023 movie Thanksgiving, which I think is a confusing title. I don't know what else they could have done, but...
Well, we may get into it, but kind of had to call it Thanksgiving, Karen.
So you said, yes.
And I keep seeing it online as Thanksgiving 2023. And even in the movie theater, when I checked in on the Evil Book of Faces and it asked me what movie I was seeing, there was Thanksgiving and there was Thanksgiving 2023, which had
Really?
a lot less check-ins than the other one. So that's the one I picked. And turns out I picked the right one, Karen.
What's the other one?
I have no idea. But first, we should tell everyone we saw this together, Karen, in the theater together.
We sat next to each other in the easy...
They were the electric reclining seats with a cup holder and a little tray that you can swivel in front of you. It was highfalutin.
It was fancy. Yeah, we sat right next to each other.
We did. There was like 4 other people in the theater, I would say, Karen.
I think so. I think that's right. But it was a very early show. We were on a deadline. So,
It was, well, plus we're old.
Well, we are old, but that's not why we went that early. We saw the first showing
We did.
of the day.
On a Monday after it was released.
So I'm guessing, they didn't expect a ton of people.
But we got a poster. We each got a poster, right?
We did, with a coloring page on the back.
And Karen was late. She was having
Well,
vehicle issues, she says.
I was late, but I still saw a couple previews.
Yeah. So the previews I saw were Ferrari, which I think you missed.
Yes.
About Ferrari. I don't know. Second one was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Didn't see that.
Then there was a Mean Girls from Tina Fey, apparently.
A new one?
Yes. It's called Mean Girls.
Like a remake or
I don't know. It's called Mean Girls. Like I thought there was already a Mean Girls, so I was expecting this one to be Mean Girls 2, but no, it's just called Mean Girls, apparently. And then Night Swim. Did you see Night Swim? So that was the first horror. Theoretically, you could call Planet of the Apes. Probably has horrific elements in it, but it's more a sci-fi kind of thing, right? So Night Swim. And then the next one was Silent Night, which I think you saw.
Oh, I did see that. I might have been there in time for Night Swim, but I saw you had popcorn and I was like, awesome. And I went out to get popcorn.
Yes.
So I was there.
Because I wasn't sharing, Karen.
No, we don't share.
Even though I had a big old tub, I asked for a small. But
yeah, their popcorn sizes were big.
I got a Taylor Swift Eras tub. He said it was the same size as a small bag. It held the same amount, but they were trying to get rid of those Taylor Swift tubs, apparently.
Butter or no butter?
Oh, butter. I get butter.
Oh, God, no way.
Yeah. If I'm by myself, if my wife's not with me, I'm getting butter, Karen. And then next was Napoleon, which I think you saw. You came back in time to see some of that, which I'm sure everyone
Yeah, I was
has
back in time for
seen
Silent Night.
because there's. And then the last one was Anyone But You, Karen. Looked like a romantic comedy.
Yeah, that's strange, huh? in a horror film.
Thanksgiving movie is rated R for some sexual material, pervasive language, gore, strong bloody horror, and violence. So there you go. But lately, when I've gone to the theaters, when I'm seeing a rated R movie, there's one of the red previews where the screen's red and it's like this preview is approved for mature audiences. But we didn't have any of that in this one. They were all green previews, so there was no foul language or anything in the previews, which I like, actually. I'm becoming a prude, Karen, in my old age. You want to just jump right in it? Or do you have a brief synopsis for us?
Yes, I do.
Go on. Tell us all the story.
An axe-wielding maniac terrorizes residents of Plymouth, Massachusetts after a Black Friday riot ends in tragedy. Picking off victims one by one, the seemingly random revenge killings soon become part of a larger, sinister plan.
Thank you, Karen, for that accurate synopsis, I would say. Kind of gives away the beginning, but accurate nonetheless.
Agreed.
All right, Karen. So you want to just jump into it and you want to talk about what we liked or what we didn't like first?
We can talk about what we liked. Do you want to go first?
Well, I have a list, Karen.
Okay, excellent. What do you got?
So on my like column, I have special effects were good. I think there was some CGI because at one point I even turned to you and said, "Oh, that's a good head," but I think it was CGI. And then later it was kind of practical because it was on a table, and I'm sure the actor was sitting under the table. You know how they do that shit, Karen. I enjoyed the story. I thought the story was good, the main story, and there were some subplots, right, that I thought were good. I like the subplots, which you don't usually get, I don't think.
And you usually don't like them because it's a
teen slasher, right?
Yes,
like
because that was character development. You don't usually like that.
Like I said, Karen, I'm getting soft at my old age.
Oh, you're getting old.
I enjoyed the sub story there of Jessica and her dad trying to, bond after.
You had that. You had the pitcher who got injured. You had,
Yeah, true. I didn't even make a note of him, but I did make a note of the rival schools. I kind of enjoyed that stuff. Even though they use the F word a lot, Karen. I didn't like that so much, but we'll get to that. Thought the acting was good. I especially enjoyed Nell. I can't say her last name. I don't know how to say it, but the girl who played Jessica.
Yeah, she was a good lead. I don't know.
She doesn't even have an Wikipedia page, Karen.
Yeah, so she's new.
She's had, on her IMDb, she's got 3 films. And I know just looking at these actors, a lot of them have been in Disney films or series or whatever on Disney Plus for whatever reason. I guess because they're young.
Teens. Yeah.
I guess because they're young. Do you want me to give you a chance now, or do you want me to keep going?
No, you can keep going.
Okay. I like the gore. There was enough gore, if that's what you're into, to keep you satisfied. I thought there were some inventive kills in it.
There was some variety for sure.
Yeah, some variety. No one was killed the same way. This killer, he's a thinker. He's a planner.
Yes.
Or he's just resourceful, using whatever he has at his disposal.
I think he had a plan.
Yeah, but did he know there was a
had to know there was
power tool in the house?
Oh.
Maybe
True.
He did. Who knows? I wrote there was some good cinematography. I thought was pretty good. There were some good shots in there. I also liked how they included social media into the whole story. It's a pretty major part of the story.
Yeah, I did wonder how that was going to age.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that too.
Kind of like when they have the cell phones in the movies that are really big.
I know. That's what I was thinking while we were watching. I'm thinking, oh, they got the new Apple iPhone. I wonder how that'll age. 10 years, 20 years from now, we'll be saying, look at that big phone.
Remember when they used to
look at that tiny phone or whatever.
Right. Or look how much time they spent on social media. And,
by then, we'll just all be wearing a little earbud, and that'll be it.
Yeah, we'll just constantly hear the stream of what's happening. Too. Like you won't even type social media. You'll just talk or something.
My one word evaluation would be fun.
Fun?
Fun. I thought it was fun. I thoroughly
It's not a horror comedy, though. Not so much. It's
there,
not really.
There's a little in there.
They lighten the mood a little bit after it gets intense, but it's not really. Almost all horror films, slashers do that. So because you can't take constant gore.
And I just thought of some more stuff, but I'm going to let you go. That's all I have.
Well, I agree with everything you said. I will say, if you've listened to this before, you'll know I'm going to say it. There is excellent sequel potential.
Yeah, I knew that, but I figured I'd save that for you, Karen.
So that's good. There are good subplots, and some of them are made to confuse you to try when you're trying to figure out who the killer is. And they do a good job of that.
Do you think like newer slashers are kind of slasher whodunits? Or do you think this is different in that?
I think you're always trying to figure out who it is. I think we're just more educated at this point. And so you have to be.
Or are we just used to like Friday the 13th Part 9, where we know who the killer is? Every movie, it's the same killer.
I guess like in Thanksgiving, we knew it was the turkey.
Yeah. This one, I felt like we spent more brain time trying to decipher who the hell is the killer. Right?
Yeah, I think it is a mystery. And they do throw twists and turns at you to try to make you think something different. I do think that the teenagers, I don't know if they're teenagers, but they looked like graduating teenagers. I'll give them that. A lot of times they look so much older, and they didn't. I agree that there were inventive kills. I thought it was overall really good. As I like to say, it wasn't a huge cast, so I kind of kept track of everyone.
It's pretty big.
Every once in a while, I had to turn to you and go, who was that? Because I didn't know. If it moves quickly and I'm not paying enough attention, I will lose track of who is who. There were certain points where I didn't know who the kid was. So it was a little, maybe 2 or 3 too big for me.
But mostly those were kids who weren't major players.
No, but they gave you kills.
Yes.
Without affecting all the subplots and things. So, you kind of need them, but I did get a little lost a couple times. But not a huge cast, but a well done cast. They looked like kids. They acted like kids. One thing I noticed, and I think I turned to you and mentioned it, is when this girl does see people killed, she has a trauma response. Whereas a lot of times in the movies, they just move on. Like, well, okay, that person's dead. Let's go have a milkshake at the diner and talk about, wow, that person's dead, which is always strange. And they did show emotion in here. They didn't always make wise choices because, of course, it's a teen slasher movie, but that's to be expected. But they did have emotional responses to what was happening around them. I think it adds to the movie. I think it makes the movie better. It's more traumatizing to see someone react to having someone close to them murdered than to not see that happen. And when you don't see that happen, you don't take it as seriously, I don't think, because it doesn't affect you. If they're going to have a milkshake afterwards, it must not be important or whatever.
Like Thanksgiving, none of the kids cared that their parents were dead or whatever.
Right. I mean, that was an extreme and they were making fun of that, I think. But in this movie, they definitely showed the emotion, which I liked.
What else?
This isn't something I liked or didn't like, but I thought something at the beginning that did not go through to fruition, but there was a certain kill in the beginning where a piece of skin detached from the victim. When the killer started exacting his revenge, I thought, wow, they're going to go through and duplicate how each person died in the beginning. That's not what happened. And I'm not disappointed or I did not like it or like it. I just thought, oh.
It's because you overthink stuff, Karen.
I do. And I thought, oh, look what they're going to do. They're going to go through each one and repeat it. But they did not. So I went down a rabbit hole a little bit with that, watching for it. But as soon as that kill was complete, that wasn't what was happening. But otherwise, I don't really have anything else. I think it's just good.
Yeah, there were a couple jump scares. I know one got you for sure.
Yep. I get jump scared. I do. These movies scare me. They're not my cup of tea necessarily, but I get
Also,
too
I just wrote
involved.
that their tension was good. There was enough tension that kept you uneasy.
Yeah, at one point you thought there was going to be an eyeball kill.
Oh my God.
You were very upset by that, but it didn't happen. Not to spoil anything, but
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, it's going to be an eye. It's going to be an eye."
yeah, a girl was putting in a contact and I was wincing. And Karen said, "Really? Really? That's what's making you squeam?"
He squirms when a girl's putting in a contact after we've seen the gore that we were watching.
I said, "Oh, it's going to be an eye thing." But it wasn't, but it was still effective.
There are some famous people in this movie.
There's a
I
couple.
mean, this is
three, right?
Yeah,
Three or
but
four.
for a horror film like this, like for a slasher, that's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I didn't. You told me. I only recognized Patrick Dempsey. He's the only one I recognized. And the guy who played the dad. Right, because he's a character actor and he's in lots of stuff, right? Rick Hoffman. Yeah.
Gina, is it Gershwin?
I didn't. I
Gershon.
she maybe she looked a little familiar, but couldn't tell you anything
No,
she was in.
she's well known. So you'll recognize. And there are other people I thought I recognized in it, but so it all starts as it said in the plot summary. And I don't know if we've talked about this before. Maybe we have, but it's a Black Friday gone wrong. Have you ever gone Black Friday
Hell
shopping?
no, Karen. It reminded me, while you're talking about it, it reminded me, because I was sitting here thinking, and I almost asked you, what movie did we watch that had the same kind of thing in the beginning? And I went back, and I believe it is A Christmas Horror Story.
It probably is.
We did in our first December.
It's crazy. It kind of,
because it shows like a Black Friday gone crazy.
Of terrible tragedies like the Who concert in Cincinnati.
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly. Well, we're from Cincinnati, Karen. So as
soon
as that barrier fell down and people started running, I'm like, there's going to be like 10 people trampled to death. That's what I thought, because that's exactly where my head went.
So that was a little jolting for me to see that in the beginning.
And I also thought, if there wasn't, then it's not realistic. But
they're running for waffle irons. It does show you it's a commentary. It's a societal commentary. They have to get their waffle iron or whatever.
Waffle iron, yeah.
But no, I've never gone either. It's never been my thing. But I know people who would get up at 4 a.m. and go.
My son used to go.
But you know what? It's fun for them. And if it's fun for you, great.
When I was younger or still in school, we used to go to my relatives in St. Louis for Thanksgiving every Friday. I don't even know if it was called Black Friday then, but every Friday they went out shopping. All of them. There were 5 girl cousins, and they all went shopping.
They did it together. It was tradition. If it's too crowded, you don't have to go in. It's just, I don't like that feeling of having too many people around me. I used to go when I was in college. I would drive over to the 24-hour grocery store at 2 a.m. because I knew there wouldn't be, a lot of people around.
When I worked third shift, that's what I would do. I would do my Christmas shopping at Meijer like at 2 a.m. because there was nobody there.
Right. So this
on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever.
So this doesn't appeal to me, but if you are a Black Friday shopper, there'll be a bit of a jolt to you in the beginning, but more power to you. You do you. You get that TV.
You get those bargains because you're a giver is really what you are. You're a giver.
Well, because
I'm sure you're not getting those waffle irons for yourself. You're going to give them to your family and friends.
Sometimes if you want a certain toy, that's what you got to do.
Whatever. All right, Karen, you want to go into what we didn't enjoy so much?
Why don't you start with that too?
Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a list.
I do. My not like list is a lot shorter than my like list. So my problem throughout the whole thing pretty much was that
you can't say sitting next to me because that would be rude. But go on.
No, take that. I'll get to that. But okay. No. Most of the characters aren't likable, Karen. I didn't care if they were killed. They got what they fucking deserved. Most of them.
They were spoiled teenagers with very little
And that's what
consequences.
that's the first thing they introduced to us is how these kids are assholes. And
You didn't see yourself in any of them?
no, well, let me think. Maybe Bobby.
The athlete?
Except if he was a band, if he was in the drum line.
Okay.
Actually, I was thinking, I can't wait for these people to get killed. Except for a few, like I really like Nell and Bobby. And that's pretty much it.
They did a little bit better. The girls were a little more likable than the boys, I think, except for Bobby. Bobby was likable, but even the boyfriend that she was moving on from Bobby to should have been likable, but was not.
No,
and I don't know why, if it was an acting thing or a deliberate
I think
thing.
it was
kind of deliberate to throw you off a little bit and wonder, because if he was really that nice,
right?
But
the whole time you're wondering.
Nice.
A lot of the time during the film, I was sitting there wondering, where are those two boyfriends at? They've been absent for a while. So they lead us in, all kinds of different directions. The next thing I had an issue with, probably the second most major thing, is the accents. No one had a proper masshole accent, except for
one
the
guy
kid from the other school.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be a douche, a masshole. That's what he is. And that's how they talk. And Patrick Dempsey, his came and went. His accent came and went.
Most of theirs did.
I didn't notice anyone else except for him even trying to do an accent. I mean, the kid from the rival school, he fucking killed it.
He was probably from there.
He might have been. The other thing is, it's supposed to take place in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It didn't look like Plymouth at all. I didn't think.
I've never been there, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, even if you've never been there, it's too small to be Plymouth. The main drag there where the freaking parade's going on, it's like...
It's true. I did actually think USA. That at one point. Yeah. Is this like a subsection? Because I did think Plymouth must be bigger, but I've never been there. So it crossed my mind, but I thought maybe this is like the historical section, where because they have some historical buildings. So I thought, well, maybe it's, a section of town that's.
But even those aren't even in Plymouth. Another thing I didn't like was I thought the ending was unnecessary. And I'm not going to explain it because that'll give a shit away. Right?
Okay.
I wasn't thrilled with the ending.
Okay.
I get that you want sequel potential, but...
Yeah, but you had that before the ending.
Yeah. Do you really put flammable gas in parade balloons, Karen? Do you? I don't know. Is helium flammable, Dr. Karen?
I don't know. I would assume so.
So I would assume that's what you would put in a...
I know that we're running out of helium. It is non-flammable. Didn't we do a thing on what they put in floats?
I don't know. You probably did, Dr. Karen.
Didn't I educate you on that?
You might have. I was probably drunk.
It does say helium.
Not floats, but the big balloons.
Oh, sorry. The ones you have to
that
hold.
We all watched on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade just a few days ago, Karen.
It does say they're trying to start
the big SpongeBob balloon.
Trying to recycle the helium because you need it for MRIs and we're running out.
I always liked the Bullwinkle balloon. Bullwinkle and Rocky when I was a kid. And Snoopy. Or
Snoopy.
Underdog.
Underdog. It's Underdog. Yeah, Underdog's a good one. But yeah, so it shouldn't have burned.
Look that up, boys and girls. Underdog. That's all I'm going to go into right now. I'll go on, Karen. Tell us what whatever you
is probably not what I have. Well, I know it has to be in there, and I briefly alluded to it, but the decision making is horrible. It's like, don't go in the basement. I mean, that didn't happen here, but don't go towards your friends if they're not answering the phone. Don't
I do remember throwing my hands up quite a few times. Like, what are you doing?
But
Really?
of
Are you
course,
going to do that? But
that's what you have to do.
she
Never
went back
run.
in for her purse. I remember telling you that in
Yes.
the beginning. You're like, oh, she's got to get the keys. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right.
But then she's like, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Women always carry their keys when they go to the car. But running up in a building is never a good thing because you can't get out. You have to run down. I don't know. And I get it. I get that's why the decisions are there to make the killings happen.
But lots of those times they were coming from the basement or are on the ground floor. And
Well,
there was only go to the basement or the upper floor. Are you going to go to the basement?
No. But just that, I was surprised you didn't mention there's not a boob count. I mean, in a teen slasher film,
I was hopeful, Karen, but
you're going to expect.
I was okay that there wasn't.
I mean, I'm perfectly
there
fine.
was going to be one. There was going to be one, but she didn't quite make it. The cheerleader.
Oh, the cheerleader. Yeah, but
so there is a little ass shot there,
but hardly
right. I know
anything. And I'm not complaining, and it's not really something I didn't like, but when these movies come out, it's almost a given. So I wouldn't call it something I didn't like. I will say I was pleasantly surprised by it, but other people might be a little disappointed by it. I'm surprised they didn't let that scene with the cheerleader go a little further before the chaos started. I think I would have liked a little more backstory on the killer, like what you could have thrown some details in there. Like at one point they said, oh, they might be former military or something like that. So something that gives you a reason why someone would snap, but you don't need that. It just would be
all explained at the end, Karen. There is the Batman moment.
Yes, but didn't seem enough to have someone snap to a psychotic break like that and plan all of these things.
I don't know. Go on.
I can't think of anything else. I agree with what you said. I didn't have a problem with the clothes or, like I said, the technology being in there. I did, as I discussed. It's not something that I didn't like. I just thought to myself, I wonder how that's going to age.
Karen, you weren't upset that you knew who the killer was?
I was only 98% sure who the killer was.
But I don't even want to go into it, really, because
you didn't know. Right. He's acting like he knew. He did not know.
I thought it was that person the same time you did, but then once they started throwing more and more people at me, I started thinking, well, maybe it's that guy. Well, maybe it's him. Maybe it's the TV anchor. Maybe it's the TV reporter I haven't said once.
So who vocalized who they thought the killer was?
You did, but I thought it very well.
You can say that all you want.
I did. I can tell you the exact moment, but I'm not going to because I don't want to ruin it for people.
Okay. You go ahead and say that.
No, but once again, I did. Once I started
I think there were
more
enough
characters, I'm like, well, I don't know about that dude.
It could have been multiple characters.
Yeah.
For reasons, that could have had their own Batman moment. It's like Friday the 13th. You throw in the mother. I mean, that's not even someone you met. So it could have been some peripheral character even.
Right.
Or could still be. They lead you down different paths.
And I went where I was led for the most part.
I will say after watching this, I hope for a quick death if it ever comes to that. Because there's some gruesome things that I just would be that are horrible. And I'm not necessarily sure that the deaths correspond to the grievances by the killer. I mean, I guess the one that I'm thinking of, it was that person's idea to open and everything. So I guess that was why that person got the worst. I will say they do mine your horror film knowledge. That's how they manipulate you. They're trying to get you to think different things because if you've watched many horror films, you know generally who it might be or who in the past or who, so they're using all of
tropes.
yeah, they're using that to get you to follow different paths, I think.
Yes, they should. I liked how they worked in the killer mask and how everyone in the town had one, so you didn't know who was the killer.
That was cool. Yes, that was a good thing
That was
to
good.
do. Yeah.
And I will tell everyone that Karen is a talker in movies.
Only when I'm afraid. I don't talk like about plots and stuff. I just talk like, oh, no, 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 that kind of stuff. Don't go in the basement. What are you thinking? That kind of stuff. Not like, well, I hope not annoying talking.
No, I couldn't hardly hear anyway. I can't hear shit. So.
And we were in the very back. So I wouldn't have done it if there were people around us.
We were in the back row where I like to sit. Anything else you either enjoyed or did not?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. So it was released weekend before Thanksgiving, right? So we saw it on a Monday after it was released.
Do you have a review?
I can tell you that its opening weekend, it came in third and did $10.3 million, which isn't bad. But Hunger Games was number one, and it made 44 million. So 10 to 44 is a big thing. And the freaking Troll movie was second and had 30 million.
Well, that's a kid's movie. Those usually
so
do
there's
well.
a large gap, right? Between, and there's not a huge gap. The Marvels came in fourth with 10.1. So this only did 0.2 million more than the Marvels, which I think has been out for a while. But still, I think it's a respectable third. And I'm really curious to see how it does Thanksgiving weekend, as we're recording this prior to that weekend. I have a feeling people, after feasting on turkey, may want to go to the movies and may see this movie. You know, especially I think it's kind of got a little buzz.
There'll be a lot less people at Black Friday.
So it currently has an 82% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. And what do you think those Google users think about it, Karen?
94%.
89.
I was going to say 88, but I chickened out.
I think reviews, the ones I've read, are mostly favorable. There's always going to be that asshole, but most of them I think have been good. So I think it'll stick around a while.
Well, I'd say it's definitely worth a watch.
I do too.
Do you want to say why it was made? Do you know the story? Like you said, it was a preview for.
All right.
Do you want to talk about it?
So back in 2007, boys and girls, there was a film called Grindhouse. And in that film, there were several fake trailers. I've never seen the Grindhouse film, and this was one of them. And actually, this
movie, Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving was one of the trailers. It's by Eli Roth. And this was the last of the trailers to be made. I think Machete, maybe Machete Kills. I don't know. Were other trailers.
So in the trailer, is someone wearing one of those masks?
I don't know.
Because that would have made.
Like I said, I've never.
But that's an old movie, Grindhouse, right? Well, not like 50s or anything, but I'm saying, wait, Grindhouse was directed by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino.
And Eli Roth directed. There's Robert Rodriguez, Eli Roth, Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright, and Rob Zombie.
I didn't see all that.
Directors.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so Machete was one of them. And Hobo with a Shotgun. I remember that one. Yeah, so this was the last one to be made. I have to see Grindhouse. I'll have to watch. Maybe we'll watch it, Karen.
Maybe. It says there's one more after this. It says Werewolf Woman.
That's the
of
Rob
the SS.
Zombie one.
Yeah. You ready to see his wife in the werewolf movie?
No, I'm not. I've seen enough.
So they probably came up with the trailers and then on a whim made one, and then it was probably successful enough that they've made the others.
Eli Roth says he's always, as soon as they did that fake trailer, he immediately started planning for this film.
Okay,
even back to 2010, he was giving interviews saying that he was writing the script.
Makes you want to go back and watch that movie.
You want to talk about John Carver, Karen?
You have some information?
Well, he was one of the pilgrims, Karen, who traveled on the Mayflower, and he's credited with writing the Mayflower Compact.
Awesome.
And he was the first signer of it, apparently, since he wrote it. And he was the very first governor of the Plymouth colony. So it is a real historical figure. So there's your history lesson, boys and girls. And there's a little history lessons in the film, too. They mention stuff like that. So it's educational as well. All right, Karen, what cocktail rating do you want to give this film by Eli Roth?
They have cocktails in the movie theaters now. The place we were at had a lot of cocktail stuff in it. My local theater does not have. It has a bar, so I guess maybe it does. It's fancier. The bar is in a separate section, and you can just go and sit at the bar and drink.
It was 10:45, Karen. I already had my breakfast beer.
Well, I think it's a great movie. Well, it's a very good movie, but it's a slasher film. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Oh, I want to give it a 2.
Okay. Well,
it's much better than a lot of the 3s we've done.
but is it really good enough to be in the company of the 2s?
I think so.
All right. I mean, if
Like
that's
what? What's your...
I don't know. I'm just not a big slasher movie person. So for me, it doesn't rank a 2 because I don't appreciate it.
Just because it has gore in it?
Well, because it's
more than just a slasher.
A little, but a lot of it's just, let's kill this person in a unique way. Let's kill this person. Let's kill this person. Those kind of I'm fine with a 2, but for me, it's not a kind of movie that I like necessarily. I didn't hate it. It's a good movie. I get it. And it's very good for its genre, but that genre is never going to be, oh, it's a fantastic movie. Did I see it? Yes, I saw it. Did I hate it? No. But would I go around saying, oh my God, everybody, you got to see this movie? No, it's a slasher. It's like every other slasher.
Actually told people.
It's like any other slasher to me with a little bit better story. So if you want to give it a 2, that's fine. I'm not going to take away from that. Okay. It's just it's a 3 for me. It was pitchy. So that's a 3 for me, dog, or whatever they used to say.
Yes, but that's exactly what he said. And there was a photo op in the movie theater too, Karen, we didn't mention.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to put that up somewhere?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's on your phone.
But it was fun. I
think that's just because you were with me.
I knew you were going to say that. So. I thoroughly enjoyed my hour and 40 minutes with you that morning, Karen.
Well, there you go. So if you have a chance.
The rest of it after that, but this I thoroughly enjoyed.
He's such a mean man. If you have time after your Thanksgiving
When you start talking
meal,
business with me at the bar, I'm like...
You had beers.
I did.
If you have time over this Thanksgiving weekend, it's definitely worth a watch. You will have a good time watching it.
If you're listening to our podcast, you're probably like horror.
True.
So you'll probably enjoy it.
And if you figure out who it was, you're Team Karen. And if you didn't, you're Team Greg. I don't care what he says.
Fine. It's fine. Okay, are we finished? Anything else, Karen?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Just remember, please drink responsibly.
Yes, especially during the holiday season.
And go to the movies.
Yeah, support your local movie theater.
Absolutely.
Even though none of them are local. If you have a mom and pop theater, go to that one.
Yeah, true.
And watch your alcohol intake at the office Christmas party or holiday party or whatever they call it. Festivus party, seasonal party.
That sounds like a story we're going to hear about.
Not for me.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.